Hey guys, it's Musk, and I wanted to talk about the recent drama regarding server sharding within the classic demo, as well as discuss the forum post made by Lore. As you've noticed, the classic demo does have realm sharding. This is to let as many people possible experience it without technical issues such as server capacity or spawn density getting in the way. Long term, we know how crucial it is to the classic experience for you to see your friends when you walk into Stormwind or when you're helping them on a quest you've already completed. And there should only ever be one Kazakh in a realm, no matter how many people are waiting for him to spawn. We're still looking at how we can best deliver an authentic classic experience at launch, and in the weeks and months to follow, both in terms of gameplay and community. You won't see phasing, which is tied to specific quests that don't exist in Classic, or Crossrealm zones, which has combined multiple realms together in Classic. However, realm sharding is one of the best tools we have to keep realms stable when hundreds of players are swarming the same initial few zones and killing the same mobs, like they will be at the launch of Classic. To that end, we do believe that some form of sharding may be helpful, especially in those early days. But we recognize that a cohesive world is critical to WoW Classic and are committed to bringing that to you. So reading this, it's not all bad, but the fact that they're even considering sharding is worrying to say the least, which is why I'll still go on to talk about the negatives of sharding within this video. According to Lore, Blizzard believes server sharding is the best solution to overcrowded starting zones and lag problems. Sure, it may help, but if a scuffed Russian server Northdale could manage 4K people online at the same time with a smooth launch, then the billion-dollar company Blizzard should be ashamed if they can't. There is not a single change other than LFG or LFR that would be more harmful to vanilla than the implementation of server sharding and phasing. And as my once enemy Alex Central put it, the fact that they even consider sharding in vanilla shows that Blizzard just doesn't get it. Let's start off by explaining what sharding is. Basically, sharding is the ability to spontaneously zone into another quote-unquote shard through being invited to a group by another player, or having Blizzard's AI automatically move you into a new shard if a server becomes too overloaded.
Either that or I'm definitely better than I was, but there are a lot of people here. Fish pal. Sure, fish pal. Let's be friends. Did we get phased? What?
They can't join our group.
Why did I get phased?
He's looking for me. This is so vanilla, man. Look at that. It's the same as vanilla when we're dueling. He's like looking, he's tapping around. This is so nice, man. What? Oh, I just sharded it. I sharded it because this is another server. What?
This is awful because sharding immediately rips you out of the game world and ends the immersion. It's quite jarring playing the game and having everyone around you disappear as you fade into a shard with far less people to engage with. Not to mention the possibility of not running into people you recognize that exist on the same server while in the exact same zone within the world. Part of what was amazing with vanilla was the tight-knit feeling of communities and the ability to recognize people from the opposite faction and those from the same faction within the game world. Sharding threatens to destroy this dynamic within the game. Some argue that sharding is better than lag and not being able to play for hours on launch, but there are far better solutions such as dynamic respawns that were demonstrated on Northdale and are a lot less harmful to the overall feeling of vanilla than sharding would be. Also, lower caps like 3,000 to 5,000 would make the starting zones a lot more bearable than Lights Hope 14k populations. Now, before we get into my view on why I want caps at 3 to 5k, let's take a look at the arguments made for higher or lower caps. First of all, the main and strongest arguments for caps lower than 3 to 5k is the official vanilla server caps that existed back in the day. According to 3 developers that appeared on ClassicCast, the 2500 server cap was a design choice rather than a technical limitation due to the ability to foster stronger, tight-knit communities, which coincidentally, server sharding now threatens to destroy the design choice they had back in the past. On the flip side of things, high-end PvPers and rankers from private servers wish for 10k or even 20k caps, and some argue no cap at all. I used to be in the 8k camp, but recent fresh launches have made me realize what a low IQ subhuman I actually was. The main and strongest argument coming from high server cap crew is the resistance it has to dying and the lively feeling a high pop server has. Both positions have some validity to them, but personally, the reason I believe 3 to 5k caps are ideal is because it falls into a nice middle ground in terms of server population without sacrificing the tight-knit community that forms on smaller populated servers. I also think there are far better solutions to the dying server problem, one of which Blizzard used being Crossrealm Battlegrounds, that I also think was and is a poor idea to implement. The main things to worry about when it comes to server size, other than the dying server issues, are solved with a middle ground cap. So let's move on to one of the biggest contributors to dying servers, which is an imbalanced faction population. If you look to retail as an example, most servers 14 years later have gone from relatively equal to extreme polar opposites, with most servers being 80 to 20 faction-wise and sometimes even worse. These past examples have brought me to the conclusion that Blizzard needs to have an iron fist when it comes to maintaining server balance, preferably locking creation of the dominant faction if the ratio gets any worse than 55 to 45%. I'd go even lower at 52 to 48 personally, but 55 would be fine. The worse the imbalance is, the more negative experiences the lower pop faction will encounter, causing them to swap to the dominant faction, inevitably leading to a completely dead faction or irrelevant faction, which destroys the immersiveness and competitiveness of vanilla. Rather than managing server populations properly, Blizzard decided to devastate the PvP communities with the release of Crossrealm Battleground play. This solved the faction imbalance problem with queue times in vanilla, but as said earlier, greatly damaged the tight-knit community feeling servers used to offer. This leads me to suggest my solution to all of this, which will keep tight-knit server communities intact while also safeguarding against dying servers. This is what I like to call the sister server plan. Let's use an example to demonstrate. Blizzard has two servers, Classic 1 and Classic 2. These servers are linked together as sister servers. Both of these servers have completely different name and have no cross-realm play whatsoever. The thing they do share, however, is the server timeline, the name database, and the guild name database. This gives Blizzard the option of a merge when emergency button. If both servers maintain a healthy population, they never merge and everyone is content. But let's say Classic 2 ends up with terminal stage 4 cancer and starts to die. Blizzard can come in last second and merge the smaller server into the bigger server without having to deal with name changes, guild names, or any complications, since these servers are set up to merge from the very start and exist on the same timeline. Or, the third option is just to merge two small servers together, which is probably ideal, but knowing Blizzard, they don't want to deal with any complications, and anything that's simple and makes sense they wouldn't probably do, so let's just go with the complicated solution. Any homies, thanks for watching. What do you guys think the cap should be? Am I a low IQ P-brain Gomer piece of shit, or am I right as always? Let me know in the comments. And as always, Moscow baby.